So if someone's out there right now and they are, living with a chronic disease and trying to reorient themselves, and maybe have thoughts about trying to get into this particular area, what do you have to be prepared? What do you expect, and what do you go without to pursue this kind of path? Or do you have to go without to pursue this path? I know that some of you have other full-time jobs. It is not like you can go get hired as an advocate or a social entrepreneur. But everybody that does have an extra job also has a skill set that they bring with their advocacy. Like, you're a writer, Alicia, you have tech skills. I had a background in writing and public relations. All of these skills play into these paths.
And I'll speak just to our particular disease, which is myalgic encephalomyelitis, and there's a particularly problem in financially in trying to make a living when you're trying to make a film about something that very few people have heard of. And although it's a very severe and very prevalent disease worldwide, and we've had extensive support across the English-speaking world from the patient community, from Canada to Australia to New Zealand, but that's all within the patient community. And there's very little money because people are so disabled, and so it becomes very difficult from a nonprofit perspective, to raise the funds that you need to do medical fellowships or to do the documentary. And then when you try to venture out from the patient community and speak to people in the real world, so to speak, if you use the term myalgic encephalomyelitis, you're going to get a blank stare. And if you use the term the less good term chronic fatigue syndrome, people react and think it doesn't sound very serious. And so you have to go above and beyond the extra mile in this particular case with ME/CFS, because you're just battling ignorance. And so obviously the way to battle ignorance is to enlighten people and to show them the truth. But until you can really package that truth in an indisputable, hopefully well-produced documentary, then it is always going to fall on deaf ears to a certain degree. But I've had this conversation with our board of directors a bit recently, and there's less money to get within the patient community, and so our big goal is to expand the pie. And as we get more and more awareness of this very prevalent and very severe disease of myalgic encephalomyelitis, that will snowball into something that becomes more financially sustainable in the long term. It could, I guess as an individual career, it might work out.
So in getting started in this, educating others is 50–60% of what you do to keep redefining the disease and telling others about it so they understand it?
So telling the story is by far and away the most important thing.
Telling the story.
And once you've moved people and informed people and educated people, then the possibility of fundraising becomes so much more present. But you have, and my father's in the nonprofit sector as well, and he said that when we first started this, the biggest thing to do is create urgency. And we did that on a local level, or on a small level within the patient community worldwide, and created urgency. And the urgency was already there, really, to tell a story. And now, once we create the film and try to go more mainstream with this story, the urgency should translate into the outside world, outside the patient community, which is the patient community is very tightly knit. But once we can venture out from ourselves and stop speaking to the choir and really speak to the wider public, that urgency, I think, will follow not just from private philanthropists, but truly from the government, which is really a massive increase in funding for research is probably the biggest need for this patient population.